Hi, everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and this week we're wrapping up the second week of Big 12 football. The conference did not do itself a lot of favors on a national scene this week as they lost several interconference games that they would have liked to win. Baylor did a good job. They won. They beat SMU, and Iowa State beat Iowa. BYU beat a woeful Stanford team, but then you had K-State lost to Army, Arizona State lost to Mississippi State, Kansas lost to Missouri, West Virginia lost to University of Ohio, and of course Oklahoma State got absolutely routed by the Oregon Ducks. So sort of a tough week for the conference. Will not help them on the rankings of a national basis when the time comes for those college football playoffs. A little bit disappointing. I thought the Big 12 would fare much better this past week than they did, and so we'll just cover it real quick. Oregon, of course, pounded Oklahoma State 69-3. There were no highlights for the Cowboys whatsoever. Oregon scored TDs on their first three possessions and then scored early and often after that. So, bad loss for an Oklahoma State team that was hoping to improve with lots of new transfers coming in. Doesn't look like they've put it all together quite yet. Mississippi State beat ASU 24-20. Malik Brown had a good game for the Sun Devils. He had 18 carries for 110 yards, but they got behind about 17 points early on in the game, and then scored the last 10 points of the game or so, but Mississippi State controlled that game pretty much the whole way. Iowa State squeaked by Iowa 16-13, although to me, the game, it felt like Iowa was the more physical team. Kyle Conrady hit a 54-yard field goal with a minute 52 left to win the game. The most entertaining game was the Baylor-SMU game, 48-45 in double overtime. Sawyer Robinson had another great week, second week in a row. He was 34 for 60 passes, 440 yards, and 4 TDs. Josh Cameron had 8 receptions for 151 yards and 2 TDs. Ashton Hawkins had 10 catches for 145 yards. And Bryson Washington ran the ball well, 31 carries for 115 yards and 2 TDs. Some games that went about as you'd expect. Texas Tech beat Kent State 62-14. Unfortunately for me, did not cover the 48.5 point spread, only won by 48. Baron Morton was 18 of 26, 258 yards and 3 TDs, and freshman Adam Hill ran for 127 on 16 carries, a good average there. Utah blasted Cal Poly 63-9. Once again, Devin Dampier was impressive. 17 for 23, 192 yards and 3 TDs. They had 9 different players run the ball and combined for 253 yards, so good job for them. Kansas lost a rivalry contest to Missouri 42-31. Kansas led 21-0 in the first quarter, and then Missouri completely out-physicaled them on both sides of the ball. Jaden Daniel was 18 for 30 for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, but it felt like he was hurried all game, and the Jayhawks just couldn't run the ball. They gained 28 yards. Missouri had 261 yards, so running the ball. So Kansas has got to improve that. They've stepped up in class this week and got smashed. Bo Pribilla for the Missouri is a good quarterback. He was 30 for 39, 334 yards, and 3 TDs for the Tigers. Cincinnati got into the win column with a victory over Bowling Green, 34-20. Brendan Sorsby had 3 TDs and 333 yards passing. He was 17-24. Jeff Caldwell had 5 receptions for 109 and 1 TD. Colorado beat Delaware 31-7. Sincere Brown caught 4 catches for 120 yards and 1 TD. That's a big average right there. And Delaware turned the ball over 3 times during the contest, which helped the Buffs. Ohio University beat West Virginia, which is assuredly an embarrassment for Rich Rod. The Bobcats held the Mountaineers to 72 yards rushing and 178 yards passing. Oliver Straw got a lot of work punting as he punted 8 times for a 41-yard average for West Virginia. So not what West Virginia fans were probably expecting in this game, and does not bode well for West Virginia for the rest of the year, but hopefully they'll get better. K-State was run over by Army 24-21. I mentioned this a couple times previously, but getting prepped for the triple option with only 1 week is a tall task, and K-State didn't prep particularly well. They gave up 237 yards rushing, mostly on the quarterback keeper, the second option. So they stopped the fullback fairly well, but the quarterback, Cale Helms, ran for 124 yards and 2 TDs. And in the fourth period, the Wildcats gave up 10 points, and Helms consistently broke tackles for long gainers. So tough loss for K-State, who is now 1-2 on the year, and they start conference play. They had a game against Iowa State early in the year, but they play Arizona this week. Houston beat crosstown rival Rice 35-9. Dean Connors ran for 132 yards on 13 carries and 2 TDs. UCF bombed North Carolina A&T 68-7. Jaden Nixon had 156 yards and 2 TDs on just 4 carries. Ja'Cory Brown had another 106 on 5 carries and 2 TDs, and they ran for total 356 yards. The defense limited the North Carolina A&T Aggies to 40 yards passing and 160 yards rushing on 51 attempts. And you could just see the difference in the type of athletes that both schools have. UCF was much better and bigger and faster and stronger. Arizona moves to 2-0 with a 48-3 whipping of Weber State. Noah Fafita had a huge game. He was 17 for 22 for 373 yards and 5 touchdowns. And receiver Javon Watley had 5 receptions for 168 yards and 2 TDs. Weber State, once again outclassed, had 116 rushing yards and 68 passing yards, so they shut them down completely. And then finally, I mentioned earlier, BYU beat Stanford 27-3. LJ Martin ran for 110 yards on 18 carries. Stanford they're just terrible. They ran for 19 yards in the game and 142-yard passing, and BYU forced 3 turnovers. Right now, Stanford is my absolute favorite team to bet against. They are completely inept offensively. So that's kind of the wrap-up of last week. Next week's schedule is kind of interesting. We've got some big games now. A couple conference games getting started on Friday. Colorado is at Houston. And having watched both teams, I think Houston may be the slight favorite in this one. I'm guessing maybe like a 3 to 4 point favorite. K-State is at Arizona. So if K-State loses, they drop to 1-4 and 0-2 in conference, which would certainly be a problem for them in the conference race. Arizona's been playing pretty well. Fafita had a really good game last week. So that one's going to be very interesting. You got some games that are, Baylor's playing Samford in Waco. They should win that game handily. Oregon State is traveling to Texas Tech. Oregon State is not very good. They're going to probably be 25 to 30 point dogs. Pittsburgh is traveling to West Virginia. Would not surprise me now if Pittsburgh is favored by a touchdown, maybe 6.5 points. Cincinnati hosts Northwestern State, a game they should win handily. Number 20, Utah will head to Wyoming, a game they should win. probably like a 48-14 kind of game. And Abilene Christian goes to TCU. TCU was off last week. A week to prepare for Abilene Christian. They should win that game handily. And Texas State travels to Arizona State. Arizona State should win that. So that is my wrap up for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It costs you nothing, but it helps me greatly. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.